Okay, I was just watching an interview with Teresa Martin on the Chicago Morning TakeOver show on 107.5 WGCI in Chicago. All right, she did an interview, and there's a couple parts where there's many parts, but a couple parts that I'm going to discuss that are inaccurate, but I can understand why she believes what she believes. Okay. I had a brother that died in 1986, and he had coke in his system, and his heart started beating funny. And at that time, they didn't have the technology they do now. They couldn't get him back. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Yeah, great guy. But we all wanted to know what happened, and we tried to find out who gave him the coke and whatever, but in 1986, coke was sort of like, having a beer right now in college. It was ridiculous. All right. It led to my mom fighting against the legalization of drugs for years after that. I'm proud of her for that. In this case, I know Kanika was drinking on her own, but I don't know if somebody intentionally drugged her without her knowledge. Okay. So there could be some, legal issues for individuals at that party who gave her drugs. All right. The hotel, I believe, is responsible for not securing the freezer area. That's just my opinion. They didn't secure the freezer or that kitchen that is under construction. It looks like they put a lock on it after the fact, or that was there, but it just wasn't locked when Kanika went there. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about right now is the fact that this hotel manager, he's not the hotel manager, however, he's actually the, let me see if I can get that real quick. He is the assistant food and beverage manager. Okay. So he's back there. He has a big key ring in his hands, and he's walking, and people are assuming that he's going back there to unlock some doors. And I think that's a reasonable assumption. Let's listen to what Teresa Martin said in the interview.
As we can see, the person that allegedly found my daughter's body in this freezer, he took a set of keys, opened his freezer, from what it appears to be, opened the door, and it took keys for him to open the door.
To get her out.
To get her
so
out.
I mean,
to
she was
acknowledge
locked
that
in.
she was in there. So she was locked in. So how, if this door was locked, how in the world, if the kitchen closed or abandoned or whatever, how could she get up in this freezer by herself? You understand? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't it have took them same set of keys or some kids to open the door, just like it took for them to open the door to get her out, or to acknowledge all of a sudden that she's up in there umpteen hours later?
Yeah, I think that is fair. That's a totally fair question, okay? And it's even fair to sort of assume that, okay? But that's exactly what that is. That's an assumption. So now let's talk about what really happened here. Here is the police reports, okay? This is one of the police reports, the narrative from the police during the investigation. Okay, I wish more people would actually look into the actual facts of the case, but I know a lot of people just sort of pick and choose the stuff that they want to see, so it's called confirmation bias. They only look at things that confirm what they already believe. And that's just bogus, okay? And that's why a lot of people believe in the sensationalistic hype that they see. Okay, so let's just look at what the police report says. Okay, so the assistant food and beverage manager said, okay, I'm going to skip down to this part. I'll put in the link how you can go look at all the documents yourself. Okay, it's really thorough. They did a complete investigation. All right, times and everything. They got it down. I'll make more videos showing the rest, some other information. Okay, but if you really want to know, go look at it yourself, okay? Quit listening to these. I mean, you don't even have to watch my videos. I'm just trying to put out the flames of insanity. All right. All right. So the assistant food and beverage manager, he first checked a walk-in cooler. He explained that there is a second door. We've all seen that, right? You walk into the cooler, then the freezer door is on the left after you go in. Okay, a second door with a walk-in freezer. It was when he went into the walk-in freezer portion, he observed a body lying on its side. He stated that he only saw the body's legs. At that point, he stepped out of the freezer to direct patrol officers toward the freezer. Okay. And then I'm going to skip down to this next portion. You can read all this you want. You can actually pause the video and read this if you want to, but I'm going to the parts that I think are most interesting. On the evening of September 17th, 2017, at approximately 5:40 p.m., Detective Coletsos conducted a follow-up with the same manager, the assistant manager, at the Crown Plaza. At that time, I asked if he recalled looking at the temperature gauge on either of the walk-in cooler or walk-in freezer. He stated that he didn't look at the gauge at all. Now, I mean, who would, right? You see a dead body on the ground, you're going to start looking at the gauges? Nobody does that. I then asked him again about whether, and then there's a next page in the PDF file, whether or not the doors to both the cooler and freezer were closed. He was sure that both doors were closed and latched. I then asked him if he recalled if the lights were on in either of the walk-in cooler or freezer portions. He stated that he couldn't recall, but that he was sure he didn't flip any light switch on the cooler or freezer. So he didn't flip any of the light switches. In my other video, I show both those light switches. And here's the key part. He stated that he was searching the units with his flashlight on his key ring. Okay, so that's what he's holding. Okay, he's got the flash. That's why it only took 7 seconds to look. He opened one up, looked in, nothing there. Opened up the other, boom, he sees her body on the ground. I mean, it must have been totally shocking for him. Okay, so I'm hoping that that actually explains that portion. Okay, that he was actually had the key ring out because he had a flashlight on it, and that's what he was using. Now, if you believe in conspiracies, you'll probably focus in on the interview was actually 8 days later, so he was able to sort of see the surveillance footage and manufacture what he was going to say to the police, okay? At some point, though, can't we just sort of believe what interviews are, what people say in the interviews? Okay? So now let's go on to the next portion, which is actually related to what Miss Martin said about there being a surveillance camera in this area. I didn't get the footage of her saying that, but it's in that same online interview. But she says that she definitely saw a surveillance camera up here. Okay? And let's talk about that. Okay, so when you actually take a look right here, this is a video produced by Rosemont. When I say produced, I don't mean it's a walkthrough with actors, okay? I know that people get really into that. If you use the word created, they believe all of a sudden there's actors performing. Okay, so you have to choose your words really carefully. This is a video that was done by Rosemont. I don't think that would work either. Anyways, in this video, you have what looks like it. She probably thought that this was her surveillance camera right here. Okay, but it's actually a sprinkler. I can see that kind of does look like it could be a camera. All right, but let's use the Faro scan. So it goes back there, and then you can get a pretty clear look. So look, there's a sprinkler there. Look, there's no surveillance cameras anywhere. Okay, but I know the popular theory is to say, oh, they removed it. Did you see what that coroner did? He put the surveillance camera underneath the blanket. Okay, that's insane, people. Look, I think she just thought that was a surveillance camera. She was stressed out. She just walked by your child who was, dead on a table. And then she walked back here. And, she's not really, people's minds don't work that great in that situation. Okay, so I think that she actually thinks that this sprinkler here is the surveillance camera. All right, if you can show me where the surveillance camera was supposed to be that was removed, let me know, but I don't see it. I don't see it at all. She made it sound like it was kind of like exactly where this is, like it was above, and then you could see people coming into the cooler. That's not a surveillance camera either. That isn't a surveillance camera. That isn't one either. Okay, so the only thing that could possibly look like one is this right here. Okay, so I'm hoping that people get a better view of some of these things that Miss Martin was talking about. I don't blame her for thinking what she's thinking, but I don't think they're correct, okay? And I'm hoping this proved that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and actually go look up this information. I'll provide the link. Read it for yourself. Read it all, though. Don't just read it and then highlight parts. I see a lot of videos where people highlight just the parts that they think sound crazy, or something they can kind of manipulate into a story. But when you read it all together in context, it doesn't mean that at all. All right? So until next time, take care. Bye.